What is up, my fellows? For today's video, we're going to be talking about how to take apart one of these things. It's just like the paint job I'm doing at the moment. So the Nerf Zombie Strike Double Strike gun. I'm going over this one at the moment because it's what I'm painting right now. In the future videos, I'm going to be doing different types of guns, like the Retaliator, I believe that's what it's called, and stuff like that. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned. This will be a series, I suppose, of, how to take them apart. Just like basic rules, how to take care of it. Because I tried taking apart a toy once, and it went terrible. It's still taken apart. I haven't been able to put it back together, so yeah. I hope I actually eventually get to put that back together, because that was a pretty good toy. But yeah, let's just go.
So here we are, about to take this apart. So the first rule when you're taking this apart is that you want to have it so that the screws, obviously, the screw holes are on the top. The screw holes are on the top. Obviously you're gonna want to do that, but so that you can actually unscrew it. But the reason being is that once you unscrew all of these, if you try to if you flip it over and then you take the pieces out, everything's gonna come out. And if you're not watching this and you didn't know how to put it back together and stuff, that could be a huge problem, because then you have to guess or try to find videos on YouTube, and sometimes there aren't videos on YouTube, or there are, but they're not explanatory enough, so you don't know what to do. That's what I did with another gun that I tried opening up. It was a cheap gun, but I tried opening it up, and and it fell apart. I found out how to put it back together, but it just was a pain in the butt to try to do because I didn't know how to open it up. So we're down to the last two screws here. Make sure that you have all your screws together. If you want, you can use a magnet. It'll help so that you keep them all in one spot. You don't want to lose any of these, because the less you have, the more delicate your gun is going to be, the more bound it is to fall apart. So right here, it's all unscrewed. All these screws are taken out right there. And so right here, we're gonna start trying to take it apart. I took them all out, right? Yeah. It's a little bit hard to. You just need to find a grip spot. Normally, by this little hammer, it's a good spot to grip it at. It's kind of hard to. Oh no, I forgot a screw. Okay. About to damage it. Sometimes they are hard to take out because for some reason, they're stuck in the plastic. So they'll come out with a little bit of plastic around them, and they're little swivel things. I don't know what they call them. They're grooves. It'll come out, connect to the grooves. And that's all the screws. Okay. So now when we take it apart, okay. So this part isn't actually too complicated. You just need to know what everything looks like. Most of the time, it's best to take a picture of what it looks like on the inside. I'm not going to do that because I've already taken it apart and I know how everything goes. What I just took out, is the little attachment piece. I guess you call it a clip, and it comes with it's a spring. So what that's used for is to attach a scope, a handle. I usually don't use any of that with this gun. It's a pretty accurate gun, and I love it. So this is what the interior looks like, and so here we have pretty much the barrel. This is the barrel. Why is there hair in here? The barrel, and on the inside of this is an air restrictor. I'm not sure how to remove that or affect it in any way. What you want to do is pull this out. This right here has hair on it. This is a plunger. You don't want to touch this circular part. It's got grease on it. If you take off the grease, it could affect the quality of how your gun shoots, because this is just a lubrication so that it slides in and out easier. This is holding on the trigger and the plunger, so with it on, you could still prime the gun. I just normally don't like doing this because this spring area is a little bit less secure. You don't want to shoot it. I've never tried shooting it without the top of the case on, but you never want to try doing that, just because it could knock some pieces loose and then spring them everywhere and you don't know where they went. So the next thing you take out is going to be, you want to do this part a little bit carefully just in case it's compressed for some reason. So why isn't this coming out? You want to try taking out this part Oh, there it is. But don't let it, because there's already some compression there. You don't want to let it spring out. Then take the spring. This has no lubrication. The next part is the plunger, and this is what it'll look like. The grease won't be like dripping off, so if you want, you can put it on a towel, but you can also just leave it there. Just make sure not to touch the circular part. The trigger is the next part, and it's a little bit more tricky than the other parts because this is actually a special like spring that you need to be careful of, like where it's facing and stuff. So if I can take it out, oh no. Okay, so this it's one of those weird springs where it's facing two ways. The little ends are facing two ways, and so what's going to happen is that this part lying down parallel to the ground is going to be what's causing the pressure, so that it actually comes back instead of just going back here and getting stuck. This part is what's going to connect to the actual trigger so that it's actually doing something. Alright, so now that we've taken it apart, if you're going to paint it, you obviously sand it down, buff it, whatever you want. On this side, for the last one, all I needed to do was use a Clorox wipe, and this came right off. It wasn't completely off. If you wanted to get it completely off and perfectly, just so that it's all green and gray and whatever, you probably need like a sanding paper. I'm not exactly sure what grit I use. But yeah, this is what it looks like when it's taken apart. It's got two little metal screws right there that was holding the trigger and the plunger. I can go into depth about how it works. If not, I'll put a description down in the. I'll put a description. I'll put a time down in the description about when I finish explaining how everything works and how to put it back together. Okay, so like I said, this little thing, these little screws hold the trigger and the plunger. So when you prime it, what's happening is that obviously there's tension right here. You're building up tension, and the Nerf gun. Let's see if I can. Okay, the Nerf gun. It's the trigger. Sorry, the trigger. It's building up tension, and you have to release it so that the bullet actually shoots. You can't do anything because the trigger's in the way. But once you let go of the trigger, the spring would have pushed this forward, then making all the plunger force air pressure into the barrel and the air restrictor, which then makes it shoot out. The thing that the air restrictor does is it makes sure that it doesn't shoot over a certain feet per second, so it doesn't actually hurt you badly. For instance, like maybe an airsoft gun would hurt a lot more than this because those don't necessarily have air restrictors, or at least the same level air restrictors as these. Some people take them out. I'm not sure how you take it out from this one, or even if you can. But yeah, so when you prime it, this, like I said, this builds up pressure, and that's why it's going to be so hard to put it back in, because you need to build up that pressure, because it's always under pressure when you even when it's not primed, it's under pressure. So when you put it in, it's going to be a little bit harder to pull back and stuff. All right, let's get into putting it in. So for the trigger, it's the most crucial part. You're going to put this part that's sticking up. It's like this. I'm going to put this part into this little hole that's inside the trigger. And that, I'm going to take this out of here, if I can. Yep. Okay. When you put that in, the spring is supposed to go in the same hole as the trigger. So this, the little screw that the trigger went in is going to be the same hole, the same screw that the spring is going to go into. And normally you're not going to set it up immediately the way it's supposed to look. It's going to be like this at first. Yeah, it's far down enough. So it looks like this at the moment. That's obviously not how it's supposed to look. So what you do now is you don't force it back. You try to find a way to pull it back without damaging anything. Now that it's here, it's obviously still not in the right place. So what you do is you pick it up a little bit, and this catches it. So now you can pull it back with it's still pulling itself forward. I'm just putting my finger here so that it doesn't pop out or anything. So the next part would be putting this plunger back in. So what you do, and this is the part I was talking about earlier, it's going to be annoying to have to compress it, or it might be annoying depending on your strength. So what you do is you got that there. you put this here first, and then you put it in here. So after you do that, you're going to want to compress it until the little hole inside the plunger, this thing right here, reaches the sprue, the metal sprue, and there it is. Looks a little bit bent, but that's alright. So you can, I suggest doing this now, but put the little trigger and the hammer holder, I guess you'd call it the hammer, that's plunger holder, back on top so that it doesn't pop out or anything. So now we've got this and this little thing. So this is actually going to be the thing you put in last, although it came out first. So what you do is you make sure that this side with the sight looking thing is on top and this is on the bottom. So like this, you guide the plunger into the barrel. It goes right in there. It fits perfectly. It should look a little bit like this. And then what you do is you put the other side on, but not completely yet, because I just say that because it's a little bit harder, so I have to hold this in place because the spring is pretty loose. It's not like glued or melted on to the thing. So if you want, you can do it like this. I'll do it like this just for you guys. Boom, you put it like that. You put the other side on, and you're ready to screw it back together. It's completely fine. I mean, I wouldn't drop it because everything's going to pop out. But yeah, just screw it back together and you're good.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed this one and want to see more like it. Stay tuned for that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the next video. I may do a showcase, may do, I'm not sure, maybe a stop motion. I have a lot of plans. I could do a slingshot trick shot video. But yeah, that is the end of this video. Like I said already, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.